Welcome to Electrified, it's your host, Dylan Loomis. NVIDIA's new blog post today, SpaceX AI adopts NVIDIA Vera CPU to accelerate agentic AI at massive scale. So, SpaceX AI deploying these Vera CPUs will bring the first CPU built for AI agents to one of the world's most ambitious AI deployments. And yes, a large portion of this will be for things like Grokbot, but we cannot forget about Digital Optimus. And it's largely the responsibility of these Vera CPUs that will be orchestrating these tools, executing code, processing data, and running simulations between model calls. So deploying more of these Vera CPUs will help the AI agents to act faster while keeping GPUs fed and fully utilized. SpaceX AI will expand its AI infrastructure behind Grok on NVIDIA Vera Rubin, while extending an optimized Vera Rubin NVL72, which is the fully built rack, into space with its first-gen StarMind satellite. Vera gives AI agents the CPU performance to act in real time, executing code, processing data, and coordinating complex tasks. SpaceX AI is taking this architecture from massive AI factories to the next frontier of compute in orbit. The president of SpaceX AI said Vera gives us the CPU performance and memory bandwidth to run enormous amounts of orchestration, code, and data processing while keeping GPUs doing what they do best. That means higher performance AI agents and more useful work from every watt of compute. And NVIDIA's Vera is the first CPU built for AI agents, designed to accelerate the CPU-intensive work that surrounds model inference. SpaceX AI is developing AI computing infrastructure for orbit where power, thermal management, bandwidth, reliability, and physical integration impose dramatically different constraints from conventional data centers. And SpaceX AI's first-generation StarMind AI satellite will be based on the optimized NVIDIA Vera Rubin NVL72 rack scale system. And Elon said this optimized Vera Rubin NVL72 system will be ready for launch to orbit in Q4 next year with significant scale in 2028. Elon also said our design is significantly simpler, lower cost, denser, and lighter than a traditional rack. At this point, we still have very real questions about the overall landed cost for these orbital data centers, because on one hand, it's great that this optimized version of the NVL72 rack for space is going to be more cost efficient, but we're still left wondering to what degree those savings and other savings like interconnection queues and everything with the grid. It's one thing to sidestep those costs, but we're also adding new costs like the cost to orbit, aka launch cost and the radiators and solar. And it should go without saying, but ultimately we are reliant on Starship here to continually launch faster to bring these costs down even further. And it's an open question how soon Starship will be able to launch with any sort of frequency. Because until SpaceX can get tens of thousands of these StarMind AI satellites into orbit, this is all still hypothetical. But important reminder, Elon said that this optimized version of the NVL72 rack will be going into ground-based data centers as well. So it is true that this optimized rack design won't be fully useless until Starship starts launching with frequency, but that is of course the critical path for the future. Here's just a few data points to go with this news from the Berkeley Lab, their queued up 2026 edition. If you didn't know, transmission providers require proposed generation and storage plants seeking to connect to the grid to undergo a series of studies before they can be built. High-level findings: roughly 2,061 gigawatts of capacity was actively seeking interconnection, which yes, is over 2 terawatts. And of that, 1.3 terawatts was generation, and 749 gigawatts was storage. The median project built in 2025 took 61 months from the interconnection request to commercial operations, which yes, is 5 years on average from the initial request. These trends raise concerns for meeting growing electricity demand and meeting resource adequacy requirements. And this is crazy. Of the 2.3 terawatts of active capacity in the 2024 interconnection queue, only 53 gigawatts reached operational status in 2025, yielding an annual throughput rate of just 2%. Now, to put that number into context, historically from 2000 to 2020, on average, only 13% of these projects actually reached commercial operation. Some projects withdraw on their own, some don't get the funding they need, but the overwhelming take-home point here, these ground-based data centers have a cap. The music is likely to come to a screeching halt sooner rather than later, which is why this release valve of putting these data centers into space is so critically important. And here you have it. The ERCOT grid alone has 408 gigawatts of capacity in the interconnection queue, which is second to only the Western region. And further, limited available transmission capacity has resulted in high interconnection upgrade costs, which contributes to high withdrawals and may deter developers from submitting new requests. There was a separate study from Berkeley Lab, just published June of this year. They're estimating data centers could account for about 12% of total US electricity by 2030. And for context, most reports today have data centers consuming less than 5% of electricity. So I think the conversation has over-indexed a bit on availability of chips, and the conversation really should be on the availability of power. And data from earlier this month, large power transformers can take 3 to 5 years to procure, with some generator step-up units averaging 130 weeks. In 2025 alone, the US faced projected shortfalls of 30% for power transformers and 10% for distribution units, forcing heavy reliance on imports. And to land the plane, nearly half of the planned data centers opening this year have been delayed or canceled, not for lack of capital, but because there simply is not enough reliable power or grid infrastructure ready. And of course, all of that data is before we hit the peak of this demand curve, which in my opinion, we're not even close to. Robotaxis haven't scaled, humanoids haven't scaled, these hyperscalers haven't even really hit actual scale, electric vehicles, at least in the US, haven't actually scaled. And so this is the situation. We have plenty of companies that are working on their versions of orbital compute because they see this wall that everyone is about to crash into. But how many companies are there that have a clear path to getting massive amounts of tonnage to orbit? The answer is one, and the company's name is SpaceX, who, by the way, now has a deep, intimate, exclusive relationship with the leading chip company on Earth, NVIDIA. So I don't know how to make this any more clear, but SpaceX is positioned in a way that no other company on Earth is. What this means is that once Starship starts flying with a bit of frequency and can deliver this AI compute into space, the money is going to flow to SpaceX in ways we have never seen before, because as all of these companies continue to run into this wall, the only way over is going to be up. And speaking of upgrades, I do want to quickly share one of my favorites that I added to my Tesla. I realized I should probably share more about my upgrades to my Tesla vehicles, and this one is by far my favorite so far. Because let's be honest, the cameras on Tesla's vehicles are nice, but they're not going to give you fine detail in the times when you need it most. Which is why after being in the market for a while, I have landed on this brand new 70 Mi, the A900 Ultra, for a dash cam as a specific upgrade for my Teslas. And yes, it is the sponsor of this video, but as you can see from the video footage, it is a clear upgrade. And it's so good, in fact, I actually just undid the wiring on my Model 3 because we're gonna shift it over to my wife's Model Y for an upcoming road trip. This A900 Ultra, of course, has front and rear cameras with dual 4K HDR and Sony's brand new Starvis 2, which makes it excellent for low light conditions and driving and or parking at night. And it does have LVDS lossless rear transmission with Smart Parking Guardian 2.0. So if you're like us and you stay in hotels when you travel with a bunch of gear or stuff in your car, this will have you covered. And the app is incredibly user-friendly. It does offer Wi-Fi 6 fast download speeds at around 45 megabits per second, and it's been working flawlessly plugged directly into my Tesla car charger. But beyond the specs, all you have to do is look at a clip comparison like this of the 70 Mi compared to what you get from the Tesla. When I zoom in on the street sign, it tells you everything you need to know about how much better the quality is from the 70 Mi. So if you want to check it out for that extra level of protection, AliExpress is having its August back to school sale right now. So not only can you get 20% off using my code, but that will stack on top of the existing sale pricing. But just know the sale does end on August 26th. So all of my discount codes will be linked in the description below. And if you just want to go directly to my collection page, you can use the code on the screen. And just a little fun fact here in case you missed it, Nvidia disclosed earlier this month a stake in SpaceX worth about $21 billion. So yeah, I would say Jensen and Nvidia have somewhat of a vested interest in ensuring that Elon and SpaceX can make this orbital compute thing work. It should also be noted Nvidia has roughly a $22 billion investment in Intel, who, yes, is a partner on the Terafab with SpaceX and Tesla. Now, to temper everyone's excitement, we have to remember Starship will also be responsible for getting these Starlink V3 sats into orbit, so it's not like every launch toward the end of next year is going to be available for StarMind. So of course, if there's an unexpected setback with Starship, then SpaceX is going to run into a whole host of problems. So per the usual, I have my Elon multiplier applied here. I would expect and hope for the first StarMind satellites to actually launch into orbit in 2028, and I think any sense of real scale would be late 2028 into 2029. So while some of you might roll your eyes right now saying, here we go, another multi-year wait, I would push back saying that SpaceX's competitive positioning is likely not going to change that much in the next few years. If anything, it might actually be stronger. No other company is magically going to have a Starship available in the next few years. And as I said, these optimized NVL72 racks will be deployed on Earth as well. And those could start scaling as soon as late next year. We also just got a report from a German outlet saying Brandenburg's rural public transport system faces significant staffing and funding gaps. The state aims to address these through autonomous vehicles, ideally with the help of Tesla. Discussions are already underway and a pilot project is running in the Eifel region. This because the expansion of the traditional bus and rail network is often hampered by cost considerations. The idea is to integrate autonomous driving into the existing on-demand bus system. And the current on-demand bus system has its limitations. It's inflexible due to fixed on-call hours and suffers massively from the acute driver shortage at public transport companies. The plan is to reach concrete agreements with companies like Tesla soon regarding the deployment of driverless cars. The minister said autonomous shuttles offer enormous potential, especially in rural areas. He did say a number of legal approvals and permits are still required, but once those are in place, he could very well envision widespread deployment in rural areas. He also said this exact concept had already been successfully tested with Tesla vehicles in the Eifel district of Rhineland-Palatinate. I can almost guarantee I pronounced that incorrectly, but I'll wait for you guys to roast me in the comments because that's always fun. Tesla shuttles are already operating on a trial basis in several districts, running through villages. But for now, a Tesla employee must always be in the driver's seat to intervene when needed. So pretty encouraging to have this testing already underway in Germany of all places, which can tend to drag its feet a bit with technology. And of course, this news should only mean good things for Tesla getting supervised FSD approval there as well. I'm not saying it happens before the vote later this year, but I am saying this should increase the chances of approval. I was also very encouraged to see this. If you saw my recent video where supervised FSD almost drove into the metal wiring in that parking garage on the 6th floor, Ariane shared a photo saying he saw a cybercab testing in that exact location. The cybercab was parked a few spots away from where he disengaged in that original video I shared. And I'll just say there is no way this is a coincidence, because we had people like Holmars online saying that, well, robotaxis aren't going to be in parking garages, which I would actually just say is not true on the face, but it goes far beyond that, because if we're ever going to have unsupervised FSD on customer cars, we cannot have things like this happening. So I can almost guarantee Tesla AI saw this post from Ariane and went out to that site to begin testing to figure out what went wrong. And as Ariane shared, this is a college town a few hours from Houston and Austin. And here's the photo for confirmation of the cybercab just feet away from that wire fencing. So awesome to see Tesla getting on this one as quickly as possible, and an encouragement that it is okay to share negative things about Tesla from time to time with the hope that the team sees it and can improve it. Over the weekend, we did have a few very short videos shared of cybercabs spotted in Austin with the decal and some with nobody in the vehicle at all, and others with the individual in the passenger side. And yes, these are non-Farzads. So sure, on one hand, we should be expecting to see this if Tesla is going to launch cybercabs for active rides as soon as September 3rd, which is when the launch event is. So to all of you that got an invite, congratulations. I hope you have a wonderful time. Please share as much as you can so the rest of us can live vicariously through you. And just like we're seeing in the Houston lot, now we have the Dallas lot becoming full of cybercabs. And for audio only, I'm talking dozens. We have Heinrich Zane doing some great Tesla Semi reporting, and in his most recent video, he is saying that he thinks Tesla might now be producing some European-based Tesla Semis, which would check out because next month at that event, we're supposed to learn about the launch specs for the Tesla Semi in Europe. There wasn't footage of that variant in this video, but he also said that he believes the Atlas version of the Tesla Semi is now ready for customer deliveries. So I'll be watching closely in the weeks ahead, but clearly activity at the Tesla Semi factory is picking up a bit. On Robotaxi, Reggie said he had a horrible experience and support was not able to help. His destination was only 2.3 miles from pickup, but Robotaxi estimated it would take 1 hour and 6 minutes to get there. Support assured him it was a bug, and shortly afterward, the estimate dropped to 16 minutes, but the actual route never changed. Long story short, he asked support if they could reroute the vehicle, but support said that they could not and suggested that he leave a review. Ultimately, we had to change our destination, get out of the Robotaxi, and call an Uber to get where we were originally trying to go. So thank you, Reggie, for sharing. I'm guessing Elon and Ashok will see this one as it went pretty viral, over 630,000 views. So to everyone still getting mad at me when I say that Tesla's navigation needs some work, I would point to things like this. But Tesla Robotaxi did say we provided a refund for this ride earlier today and will continue to improve the rider experience at every level. And in the spirit of fairness, here's a video from yesterday of multiple Waymos blocking a bridge in Miami. I have not seen any official word from Waymo about this, but this very thing has actually happened multiple times this year. This is not the first time. This was pretty cool. SpaceX AI said at Starlink we're using Grok Voice to resolve over 15,000 inbound customer support and sales calls every day. Grok diagnoses hardware issues, ships replacements, and fulfills over 3,000 orders a week across voice calls and chat. So listen, I'm sure all of us will at one point experience severe frustration dealing with agentic customer service, but if any company is going to do it well, I think it would be SpaceX AI. And as I always say, everybody has to start somewhere. Tesla stock closed the day at $348.95, down 3.83%, and SpaceX closed at $135 on the number, down 1.44%, all while the NDX was down 0.97%. Don't forget, check out that 70 Mi A900 Ultra linked below. I've been very pleased with it, and it is a true fact that that specific sale is ending August 26th. This is not some sort of fake scarcity scheme, so just know my codes, which are all in the description below, will continue to work beyond that date. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.